Um, Welcome to Unit 3, Lesson 3. As usual, the first thing to do is to track down the tasks to complete list for today. You can find it under Assignments on the Human A&P Canvas page, or just go to the home page, scroll down to the weekly calendar to today's date, which is November 10th, I believe. Today's the 9th. And so you can see what we're going to be doing. We'll start off like we have been doing with just sharing a little quick silly discussion question, let you check in with each other a little bit too. I'm going to post it in the chat right now. Okay, today's question is, what's the weirdest food you've ever eaten? Give you 20 seconds to think about it and then throw you into breakout rooms. Just as a quick review of that, saw some great images that you all submitted. I liked Jackson's in particular over here. He punched a hole into a mask. So maybe a metaphor or something, but again, this is punching a hole into a cell membrane. But as long as you have uploaded your drawing from class, hopefully you got most of that done in class. And then the quiz, reading reflection on the recent chapter looked great. There's one question I wanted to just kind of touch on, which was this true-false question on a virus spreads by reproducing itself on its own. 2 people went with true and 13 went with false. I just want to emphasize that is false, right? That is one of the key features of viruses, is that they have to infect other cells and hijack cellular machinery to make more of themselves. Any other questions or anything you found confusing from those homework assignments? All right. Well, then I'm going to sort of consider non-specific defenses wrapped up. So today we're going to delve into specific defenses, which is where things get a little more complicated. Rather than doing like the live presentation with the poll questions, this time I've created an ed puzzle that you'll work through. It is a little bit longer. It's about 20 minutes. There's 5 multiple choice questions spread throughout. So I'm going to time for 25 minutes to let you sort of watch and work through this. You can pause, you can go back. Note that it is a graded assignment, but I'm just grading for completion. So don't panic if you got every question wrong. That's okay. I'm just grading for the completion aspect, and hopefully you take something away from it as you're watching. But it's just a presentation by me, all about specific defenses, and you can ask questions or we'll make comments once everybody's done. So I'll watch your progress, but I'll time for 25 minutes and then we'll come back together. If you get done and you're just waiting, you're welcome to look at the next activity, which is a discussion board, but we'll go more over that more once we come back together. Go for it. Let me know if you have questions. It is forming, right? These lymphocytes, white blood cells, are actually going to do their job and not go out and just start attacking every type of tissue or a specific tissue that is a part of your body, right? And so all of those are important, right? It ensures that citizen cells aren't being attacked. It ensures that B cells and T cells only attack foreign antigens, not self-antigens, which is just rephrasing that same one. And it prevents what are called autoimmune diseases. All autoimmune diseases are a result of immune cells deciding, for whatever reason, and there's a couple theories behind this, but a lot of immunologists still don't really know, that the beta cells in your pancreas are bad and they get attacked, or they think maybe there's a virus that has a similar surface protein and that's what triggers that. But there's a variety of autoimmune diseases we'll learn about in a little bit that are pretty fascinating. So MHC, there's 2 different classes. Again, I know that it's your major histocompatibility complex. Again, these are just proteins that are holding out those little name tags. It could be a sugar, it could be a protein, whatever. Normally things are normal, but if a cell's infected, then it starts showing unusual stuff, or if it's a lymphocyte fighting something. So class 1 is on every single cell, and it's a way of cells saying, hey, I'm sick, come destroy me, or everything's fine, I'm normal, I belong here. Class 2 is what your immune cells have, very good, and looks like most of you got that. And they use that to sort of signal others to help in the resistance or the fight against that. So humoral, and this is just keep driving this home, humoral immunity is run by B cells. It attacks the pathogen, right? It's in your humerus, which is your, it's the fluid outside of your cells, right? It's what your blood and everything's floating in. So it's outside of cells. Cell mediated is just taking care of infected cells. Your immune system is merciless. It doesn't try to find infected cells and make them better. It just kills them before they can create more virus or spread it around. Which type of immune response do vaccines simulate? They simulate the first response. So it's sort of getting you through that primary response, which is a weakened form. And so the next time you're exposed to the actual pathogen, you have a much stronger reaction to it. And therefore, we consider ourselves immune because our immune system is pretty much ready for it, right? And so, yeah, it's not humoral or cell mediated because both of those mechanisms get kicked on by memory cells. Whether B cells start, they activate the T cells, or if T cells start, they activate the B cells. Both of these kind of feed back on each other. We didn't go into much detail about that in the video, but and then the effector cells or fighter cells and the B cells are called plasma cells. Very good. Looks like we had a hard time on this one. Plasma cells for B cells, and cytotoxic T cells are the fighters, right? These are the temporary cells that get created and then go into battle. And how crazy that Jenner guy in the late 1700s experimenting on children basically to see if vaccines work. But I think it kind of also indicates how fearful people were of smallpox at that time. The smallpox was killing lots of people, especially children. And so you could see that there were some people who were desperate enough to say, sure, you want to inject pus into my child to see if it'll protect them, go for it. Luckily it worked. So pretty crazy story that I think would be fascinating to learn more about. Any other questions or comments on specific immunity stuff so far? You'll do a whole reading tonight, which is a review of a lot of that content, and we'll hopefully cement some of that. And usual deal, there's a reading quiz and stuff like that. Okay, next thing I want to do is a little more art-based, get a little more creativity. I'm sorry I slammed you with so much technical information, so let's use the other side of our brain, right? I'm going to share my screen here really quickly. The next thing we're going to do is a discussion board activity. So if you click on step number 4, COVID-19 War Effort PSA, something I want to kind of go through with you here. So looking at my screen, I should be sharing it now. If you've been watching the news, coronavirus cases are on a rapid rise in the United States right now. I know it's not what anyone wants to hear, but it is out of control. Idaho, Utah, the governors there are starting to warn the hospitals are about to be overwhelmed. They're at capacity with the flu and COVID-19. And it's happening in a lot of other states now as well. Again, winter, people are headed inside. It's all the stuff we discussed. This isn't what Americans want to hear or see. And yeah, we are deep in what's called pandemic fatigue. Most Americans, they don't want to change their lifestyles. We want to go back. We want to get back to normal, right? We want schools to open. We want everything to be, sports to resume. Wearing masks, social distancing could save lives. Most Americans find these precautions a little too inconvenient. And so I find myself thinking, like, is it impossible for Americans to kind of band together and come for a common cause and change the way we live in order to save lives and adjust to things? And it made me think back to World War II and the war effort. I don't know if anyone studied World War II in history classes at all, but when America entered the Second World War, there was a drastic cultural shift. If you were a young, healthy male, you were expected to be in the military service. And basically, any healthy male who wasn't and was walking around the US, you were almost like teased and discriminated against, right? People called you basically like a coward for not joining the military. If you were a young, healthy female, you're expected to be working in factories and hospitals, similarly helping the war effort. Female athletes started filling in for male athletes in professional sports like baseball. If you've watched the movie called A League of Their Own, it's all about that. Car manufacturing companies stopped making cars. They literally started just making war machines, equipment for the war. Hitler became a cartoon villain. Captain America became the icon that we still see in Marvel movies today. Buying war bonds was a huge deal. They implemented daylight savings time as an effort to save energy, and also there's a variety of theories behind that I'm not entirely sure about. People were encouraged to grow food in their own backyards so that farms could feed military personnel. And you can see some of the propaganda posters that were from that time that were really about this war effort. And some of these I'm sure you're familiar with. Anyone know this one, loose lips might sink ships? Anyone know what that's referring to? What do they mean by that? Loose lips might sink ships.
Like kind of saying more than you should, or like spying, stuff like that.
Yeah, so like writing a letter or like talking to people, like everyone was afraid of spies or overhearing about troop movements and ship locations and times. This was a big thing, right? I love this one. Someone talked, and the guy's like pointing right at the person looking at the poster. So again, a lot of stuff encouraging buying war bonds, getting involved in the war effort. And so an idea that came to me was like, this is America can and should respond to coronavirus this way. We need to declare war on COVID-19. And I found a couple posters that were direct mimics of this media from World War II, right? And I like this: for you, for them, for us. The quarantine in time saves 9. Be part of the resistance. I love this, that they're supposedly 6 feet apart, social distancing. This is a cool version of this. We can do it poster, which a lot of you are familiar with. So what I'd like you guys to do is to make your own PSA based off of one of these posters or something else you can find. So you can use Photoshop, you can use Google Slides, or just use pen and paper. You can get collage stuff with old magazines and scissors. It doesn't matter to me, however you do it. I want you to find some kind of original war effort image. It doesn't have to be one of the ones that I've supplied, though I did have a link for that, and come up with a catchy slogan or a PSA related to COVID-19 prevention or aiding healthcare workers right on the front line. So there's a link right here to a Google Drive folder that has all of those images in it that I showed you earlier. So you can pick from those, or just hop on Google and look something up if you want as well. There's lots of things to refer to. If you know how to use Photoshop, go for it. I don't personally. I just use Google Slides. You can just throw an image on a slide and start inserting images over it and resizing them. It's pretty straightforward. You can print it out. You can use markers. Again, as I said, doesn't matter. A couple of silly phrases I came up with, like loose mask spreads fast. COVID spreads about if your nose is out. Stay 6 feet apart so you don't end up 6 feet under. It's kind of a dark one. Wear a mask whenever you can. It will protect an elderly veteran. Here are a couple examples of like taking, again, an original poster and then altering it to have more of a COVID-19 prevention idea. So you can look at all of those for references. And then the idea is to click reply on this discussion and insert your image. Write a little bit about how you made it and what message you hope it sends, and then reply to one classmate, giving them some compliments or some insights on their image. I did a little example. So here's one that I actually made this morning. Again, I just got on Google Slides. I put in that image of the grenade guy saying, God help me if this is a dud, and I just put mask as a dud, roll a mask on his face. These are all just images. You can search transparent images on Google Slides and insert them, and then just placed it over. So get creative, have a little fun with it. See if you can come up with a little slogan or something that we can then use, and this will roll over into homework, but I'll give you class time to kind of get started on it at least. And think about what you want to do. So let's just spend the first 8 minutes. You can read through that, get some ideas, see if you can find an image to work on. We'll come back together when there's 2 minutes left in class to check in. Let me know if you have questions or need help on anything.